You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
I love you so much. But anyway, yeah, it's dark here because it's freaking dark outside. And what I'm always telling people is you need to preserve your circadian rhythm. So it gets dark outside, you need to have it dark inside. And I'm not going to have my bright studio lights on. It's too much.
Okay.
Anyway, dude, Charlie, my friend. Charlie,
you look good in the red light though, so we're fine.
Thanks,
either way,
man.
Works.
Thanks.
It works.
Right, listen, I'm going to shut up because I talk too much on my show, like you. But now you're on my show, you can talk. So
it's the hardest thing to do on your own show, right? Is to not talk. Yeah. How have you been? What's cooking? What's going on in your world?
Do you know what? Oh, man, life is great. I'm so happy. And I've just finished wrapped up 2 consultations, and it's so much fun. Just speaking to people about their health, and it's so varied. Like I'm talking about cancers and heart attacks and strokes and diabetes and how to lose weight and how to manage stress and how to cope with a divorce. I mean, it's so random, and it's just what's really nice is people really appreciate what I'm telling them and the chats that we're having, and it seems to be like making a difference for people. And it's like, it's just nice, it's really nice. And then on another level, I'm reading a shit ton of books. I'm reading Meredith Miller's How to Become Whole, which is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read in my life. And you need to have her on your show. And I will give you her details. She is amazing. She's a sister from another mother. I've also just had an amazing surgeon on my podcast, this former Christian Zionist, Dr. Sui Ang. And she talks about how she was in Beirut at the time of those massacres at the camp. The Shatila camp, and now how, that stopped her from being a Christian Zionist. She's still a Christian, but she's not a Zionist anymore. Yep. And that was a very moving chat. I've got David Icke just sent me his latest book and is coming around to the podcast in 2 weeks' time. And
nice.
I'm looking forward to that. And it's like, it just feels like everything's happening and life is great. The only thing that's not happening is I'm not making much progress on my book because I'm just busy with all this other stuff. And I was meant to be stopping. Yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the exact same boat. I've got a million things going on. I'm glad. I'm grateful. I'm not complaining at all. I'd rather be busy than slow. But I've been working on my 4th book for a couple of years now. It's funny. Speaking of circadian rhythm, and I wonder if this has anything to do with it, but I notice that I will only write during the summer. I don't know why that is.
Interesting.
I'll write like a maniac for like 6 weeks straight, 15-hour days, pull my head up and I don't know what's going on. But then I don't seem to have it in me in the winter. I don't know, maybe my schedule's different. I'm not sure what it is. I just kind of noticed that every time I'm working on it during the summer. Maybe it's when I think I have a little bit more time, but
I think it's also psychological. So what do I mean by that? I really enjoy doing the podcast. I really enjoy writing my Substack articles. I really enjoy my consultations. And when you enjoy something, you don't think of it as work. And right now the book is like work for me. And I was like, oh, I need to do my book. I think when you stop thinking of it as work and do it something as you enjoy, then you rattle through it. Because I can write a lot. Like I just wrote a Substack piece on why I don't, wear poppy anymore. I don't know if you read that thing I wrote. So I wrote about why I don't wear poppy anymore. And it's just like, it's like I can write. That's not a problem. It's a mind thing. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah, and for me, it's a schedule thing as well. I need time to get into the vibe of it, and I want to, I'm going to reread and rewrite a paragraph. It's going to take me 45 minutes to do all this, but I need I can't be up against the clock thinking about I've got an appointment. And so what I'll do is I'll record episodes a couple weeks in advance and just block off amount, these 10 days I'm going to be writing. I'm still doing other things. I have to. I've got Activist Post, I've got Natural Blaze, I've got a real estate brokerage in Vegas. I don't get to just do that. But I need that time because to really kind of get in that headspace. And I'm writing about a really heavy topic that's super dark, and from time to time I need to kind of back away from it because it's a bit much. And so so I understand where you're coming from with regard to how you view that work. I don't view it as like, I'm not dreading writing the book, finishing up the book. I'm looking forward to it, but I know how I operate, and I need to, I need to go like Jack from The Shining and like go up into a cabin, not murder my whole family, hopefully, but get a book out, when you've got the time to really sit down and focus on it,
I was thinking maybe, yeah, I agree with all that actually. Scheduling is a big issue for me as well. And I'm thinking maybe that's the reason why I'm not going to Acapulco next year. Maybe it's once my book is out, then you guys are going to pay for my flights. And wow, Doc Malik, we need him here with that amazing book. He's going to like the anarchist, version of how to reclaim your health. This is a talk that, we will pay to bring him over to give.
So when it comes to book launches at Acapulco, I wrote a book with Jeff Berwick, the founder of Acapulco, and we were almost done with it. And this is, it's the tail end of 2019 or early 2020, and we're almost done with it. I'm done with my part. I'm waiting on Jeff. I need Jeff to finish this thing up, right? And he just can't do it because he's got a million other things going on. And my intention was, because let's hurry up and finish it so we can launch it at Acapulco 2020, and it'll be a big thing. You've got all your people there. It's the right, it feels like a good place to do it. It didn't happen. Timing didn't line up. We still had more to go. We get there, and it was the best mistake ever because 3 weeks later, COVID kicks off. And so that part of the book itself needed needed the examination of COVID with relation to the pharmaceutical industry. So Jeff and I were like, oh my God, like, thank God we didn't put it out. And we took a couple months to sort of observe what was going on with everything. And then about August of 2020, I messaged him. I'm like, I've seen enough. What about you? He said, yeah, I've seen enough too. I know we have an idea where this is going. So we finished it up that way and got it out in November of 2020. But had it been up to me, I would have botched the whole release because we would have been 3 weeks too early.
There you go. Everything happens for a reason. Anyway, listen, I want to talk to you about something, right? And it's so funny. I hadn't planned anything like, well, I'm going to talk to Charlie about, because I know whenever we talk, we've got tons of things to say. But I'm going to put a picture up. That's all I'm going to do. All I'm going to do is put a picture up, and then I want you to just go. I want you to go with it. Okay?
Okay.
There you go.
Oh.
So for those people who are listening and can't see the picture, do you want to just describe the picture, and then can you just like talk about this?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
This is a picture of our Lord and Savior Donald Trump sitting at his desk in the Oval Office with a variety of flags behind him. A little surprised the Israeli flag isn't there, but I'm sure you got that sorted out by now. And the man standing next to him in a very nice black suit with a fuchsia tie is Syria's new leader, Jolani. And if you recall, if you go, oh, that name, it sounds a little familiar to me. You might have, if you were at the post office with extra time and you looked up on the wall and saw the FBI's most wanted list, or the list of all of the wanted terrorists, his face would be at the top of the pyramid with a $10 million bounty on it. No exaggeration. Because he used to be a bad guy, but now he's a good guy. And so we took him from chopping heads in Aleppo to now he's in a suit in Washington, D.C., and everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Do you know what's really funny? He's I always don't trust name changers. So his birth name apparently is Ahmed Hussein al-Shara, but then he was named as Abu Muhammad al-Jalani. And now recently he's gone back to Ahmed al-Shara again. And it turns out that basically if you're a head chopper, if you're an ISIS, Muslim fundamentalist head chopper, all you need to do is trim your beard, cut your hair, wear a suit, and it's all fine. Everything's okay.
I've got an idea, and I think this can work in the UK as well.
What?
It's an idea for a television show. It's a makeover show. Just a makeover show. Flip this jihadi. We're gonna take him from the mean streets of Damascus, and we're gonna give him a makeover, like when they take homeless people off the streets and shave them, and do all that stuff, and then that's what we're gonna do with him. And he's gonna be if he plays his cards right, he'll get to address Congress as well, and maybe he'll get 57 standing ovations like his friend Bibi.
Can we do the opposite as well? Make a jihadi. Like, I mean, it's difficult with you, like growing your hair, but we could maybe try and make you a jihadi, like really grow your hair.
I'm halfway there. I'm already radicalized. I just need the fundamentalism.
There you go. That's it.
I always drop the fundamentals.
I know, man. So let's talk about Jelani, and Trump. People need to understand this. Like, what happened in Syria? Why is a former terrorist, literally head chopping terrorist, Hayat al something organization? It was on the prescribed terrorist list. Why is he now in the White House shaking hands and being best chums with Trumpy?
So Syria was not unlike many American empire regime change operations. There's a variety of ways in which we can get you to bend to our will. The silver or the lead. That is the old-timey way of doing it, right? We'll give you a lot of money and you come to our side. You don't take this offer, we'll take you on a helicopter ride, and that's how you get sorted out. There's certainly some of that going on. Bashar al-Assad was the leader. His family was in power since the early 70s. And I'm sure there's a segment of society that didn't like him, but by and large, it ran. The country was functional and running and engaged in global trade and dangerous, of course, but he kept the lid on it for the most part. And when you do deals with the American empire, it's very dangerous. I mean, the only thing worse than not doing a deal with the Americans is doing one, and because it's like you now you're in bed with the devil. And again, like, I'm not talking about the American people. I'm an American. I'm talking about the American empire. It's a much different thing. It's multinational and it's disgusting. But that's how we do that. We finance, Assad, we need you to vote our way in a UN resolution, or we need you to allow this pipeline to run through your country or whatever, right? And he says no, then you got to get somebody in there who will say yes. And so what you do is you finance his opposition. Now, in Western states, that's done at the ballot box and through political campaigns and all that window dressing, but it's still regime change. In the Middle East, it's just handled differently. It's murderous and extremely dangerous, and that's what happened. And so we, America, got mad at Syria and Bashar al-Assad and wanted him to go. You remember the chemical? There's a big thing here in the States. I don't know if it was there, about how he was launching chemical attacks on his own people in Duma, and they found the chemical weapons, and there was all this, and the messaging behind it, the media story behind it, the videotape, the footage of the bomb like gone through the ceiling and it's on this bed. I mean, people in the intelligence world took one look at that scene and just went, you can't be serious. You can't be trying to pass this off. CNN, I swear to God, CNN had a reporter there, was talking about a backpack with sarin gas, which will kill you immediately, right? And she holds the backpack up sniffs it on air and goes, "Yep." Now you can find that. I'm not making that up. You think I'm kidding? You think I can't be that funny? That's where we are. So there's a military component to it for regime change, and then right up alongside it is the mainstream media narrative. Right? He's a bad guy. He's terrible. Assad has to go. Look what he's doing. He's gassing his own people. We sent CNN out there. They confirmed it. They smelled the backpack. It smelled like sarin gas. The lady. Now, if she had fallen over dead, I would have believed it. Right? That would have been an awesome story. But that didn't happen, of course. So you watch this and you go, this is all lies. He's dead. He's a dead man walking, right? I know where this is going. And it didn't take long before, next thing you know, they financed the Al-Qaeda, who we're supposed to be fighting. Remember, they're the enemies. They're the ones that did 9/11. Wink, wink. We got to get them. But now they're the good guys. And so the American public just watches this and they go, wait, whose side are we on now? I thought this was the bad guy. And usually it's a bit blurry. But with Jelani, it was so stark and embarrassing that it just is end of empire type behavior. When Trump had him on the list with a $10 million bounty on his head, and then unironically brings him into the White House in a 3-piece suit, the very same guy, and takes a picture with him, then this is all theater. It's all nonsense. And so I think that for some people who are watching this show, they see something. I don't know what the trigger is going to be for everybody. Everyone's wired differently. But for some people, they will see that picture that you showed, that will be the picture that finally snaps them out of the spell, and they go, oh my God, they're all on the same team. And you go, yeah, that's how it is.
Exactly. A very good assessment, but I slightly disagree with you. I don't think it was just America. I think it was America and Israel that wanted to carve up Syria and destroy it.
Oh, Israel too. Of course, that should go without saying. And in fact, I would go so far as to say that whenever America is doing something like that, destabilizing in the Middle East, it is with Israel's puppet hand right up its ass. Okay, controlling it. It is America carries out Israel's foreign policy for them because America is controlled by them fully.
Exactly. So Israel doesn't want a strong Iraq, doesn't want a strong Iran. It doesn't want a strong Syria. It doesn't want a united Palestinian opposition. It doesn't want a strong Libya. It doesn't want a strong Sudan. Sudan's in the Red Sea, massive geostrategic, port of call there. It wants all these places either vassal states doing its bidding or broken up and in chaos. What did they do to Iraq? And it's the same. Saddam was a CIA, British, American puppet, and then he waged war against Iran, drained their resources, and then when he got a bit too big for his own boots, they cut him out. And then they went for Libya. And what's interesting with Libya and Syria is when they both denounced their chemical weapons or nuclear weapons program, that's when they went and really hit them hard. So Libya gave up, I think, its nuclear program, and they had that, peace in the sand, peace in the desert. And look what happened to them. And it was again, they had to save those people in Tobruk or whatever who were, victims of the Gaddafi regime, when actually, British forces and Qatari forces were releasing prison inmates who were all jihadis and funding them and giving them weapons. And the Gaddafi loyal forces were simply trying to contain these absolute nut jobs. And they called it a spontaneous civil war. No, it wasn't. And then look what they did to it. They bombed it to hell. And Syria, remember, Syria had to give up its chemical weapons. And as soon as they gave up their chemical weapons, what happened to Syria? And this is the same with any group of people. Whenever you disarm a group of people, a massacre or genocide will soon follow. The moral of the story is, do not give up your fucking weapons. So all you Americans sitting out there with your guns, do not let them take your guns away.
For sure.
At least you've got your guns. The moment they take your guns away, you're dead. You're toast. you are toast. And that's what happened to Syria. They did not want that country sitting there. It's a secular government. It's not perfect. There's corruption, but they've got embargoes on them. Life's tough. There's hostile states all around. Israel is funding insurgencies and oppositions and fake Syrian opposition groups abroad who are just fifth column traitors. And now they've carved it up. Even now, Israel's marching its tanks into villages in the south of Syria and taking mountains and hilltops. Turkey's annexed the north. America's annexed the west and all the oil fields and gas fields. Russia's taking like military bases. I mean, even Russia, who helped Bashar al-Assad cut a deal with Jelani and said, right, we'll have some bases. I mean, it's so sad to see, but this is what's happening. And this is how it works. And they're all the same team. Jelani, the head choppers, shaking hands with Trump. What the
Well, I think it's important for the general public of America to understand that that the idea that there are different sides is all a bit of an illusion. We have a really hard time with history here in the U.S. Our history classes are terrible, and you have to unlearn everything that you learned. But even if you had been taught this, even if you had paid attention in school, nobody would ever teach you what happened during the Bolshevik Revolution. They would never teach you what happened during the World War II and the brown shirts and the agitators, and that there is a group that is used. You can call them Al-Qaeda if they're in the Middle East and they're doing it with machine guns, or you can call them Antifa if they're in Portland doing it with Molotov cocktails. But there's a group who is used to destabilize the current administration, be that a foreign government or the local city council, and create massive chaos. And the people who are used to do that in World War II, they were called the brown shirts. And they would be sent in to break windows and beat up people and, grab the trade unionists and punch them out and do all that stuff and create chaos. And that was part of Hitler's rise to power. What nobody remembers from history books is that while Hitler was using the brown shirts, the Antifa of his time, the Al-Qaeda of his time, to create all of this chaos, he was simultaneously growing a parallel organization called the SS. And when the time was right, and when they were ready, and when they were trained, and when the revolution had taken place, those brown shirts, who had been an asset in the lead up to the revolution, become a liability once the new group is in power. So the SS was then turned on the brown shirts and they liquidated them. And this is what Yuri Bezmenov will tell people, or told people, about how this works. You think that you're going to be at the table in the aftermath with a seat dividing up the pie. That is not going to happen. You will be put up against the wall and you will be shot. That is how they deal with these people. So I think that it's important for the general public, the people who are participating in the events, ICE riots, George Floyd event, whatever it is, where you're out in the streets causing trouble, making your voice heard because you're mad about things. You will be used. You are being used, but you will be further used. And to create a problem reaction solution situation, of course, you're going to have David Icke on, and he's the king of talking about this, where they will be the problem. The reaction will be, oh my God, please do something, stop this problem. And you don't want to see what the solution is because it's going to be authoritarian. And so these people are all being used. It's the same in Syria as it is in Portland. It's just a different flavor and maybe with a little bit more colorful hair. But this is how it's done. They use a group to rile everybody up and create the chaos and then crack down in the aftermath of that. But once you know that they're both on the same team, once you have that Trump Jelani moment in your mind and you recognize that they're all the same team, then you go, it's pro wrestling. They're slinging the guy against the ropes, man, but he's going to come right back and I'm going to flip him. It's all I might not flip him exactly the way we did it in practice, but I'm going to flip him maybe on that side of the ring. So there's variations, but you get the point. This isn't organic. It's being made to happen. And especially when you have something like a No Kings protest and they sprout up everywhere all at once on the same day with all this coordination. You can't get these leftists to coordinate what they're having for lunch. You think they're going to set up a international rally? No way. This is billionaires financing protests against billionaires. So it's a big charade.
It is a big charade. You said a line there. They're all on the same team. Dude, I'm going to try something. If it doesn't work, I'm going to edit it out of the podcast.
Okay.
But it comes back to my Substack, right? So I wrote a Substack, honoring the dead, what Remembrance Day means to me. And the reason why I'm playing this is my friend Marianne sent me this song, and I don't know who sang it. I'm going to play it, and I want you to please tell me if you can hear it. I'll be so upset if you can't hear it, okay? It's 5 minutes, 57 seconds, and then I want you to talk about it. Right, listen.
Oh, you sent it to me.
Yeah, listen to this. But I want people to hear it. Can you hear that?
We are told to stand in silence today. We are told to bow our heads. We are told to wear the poppy and honor the fallen. But nobody ever asks who sent them to fall. Poppy is not just a flower. It is the bloom in the blood. The entry wound of the bullet. Ritual of memory designed to renew itself every generation. A cycle that continues because we have never broken the spell behind it. War has always been a blood sacrifice. Not for freedom, not for land, not for peace, but for the ledger. Blood is the currency. Resets collapse in the economy, and the bodies of young men, the bond that balances the books. Look at the word infantry, infant, not a silent man, a child. Legally held as property of the state. On your birth certificate, you are recorded as an infant of the state. When you do not claim your estate, the state becomes your parent. The parent has authority to send its child to war. This is not patriotism. This is administration. This is why the courts are banks. Judge is the trustee, the prosecutor is the creditor, the clerk is the accountant, the body is the collateral, the signature is the sacrifice. The same signature that binds you in the debt is the signature that stamps the military tag placed around the neck of the man who went to die. Dog tags, the dogs of war, the soldiers. Here is what they will never teach in any school. In the World War, 17 and 6 nations were involved. Flags, uniforms, languages, borders, but on paper and trust law and charter and treaty, they were all owned by the crown. So who was at war with who? There were no sides, there were only children of the state, sent to slaughter each other by the same creditor. So they forget, so they never claim their estates. The crown financed both sides. Banks wrote the bonds, the government signed the contracts. The men died believing they were protecting their people. This is not conspiracy, this is structure. This is administration of the human farm. This is how time is reset. This is how history is written and rewritten. This is how memory is erased. And I know this is not only is knowledge, but through blood. My own grandfather went to that war. 10 men from his own line went with him. Brothers, cousins, bound by the same songs, the same stories, the same soul. Only he returned. He came home bearing the silence of 9 men who should have lived beside him into old age. 9 wives left without husbands. Children left fatherless. The women forced to raise the next generation alone. This was not an accident. This is the method. Remove the man women and unprotected and overburdened. Remove the fathers and the children turn to the state for authority. Break the lineage and you break memory. Break memory and you break sovereignty. Break sovereignty and you break time itself. This is how a people are conquered without ever being told they were conquered. And then we are told to bow our heads at the Senate's head. Senate court, a monument not of remembrance but of contract. The names carved in stone are not just memorials, they are ledgers marked into the land. A record of the debt paid in blood. And we are instructed to stand in silence because silence is tacit acquiescence, the necessary consent, the silence for ritual and bond. But remembrance is not silence. Remembrance is truth. Our grandfathers were brave. The love was pure. The courage was beyond measure. The purpose they were given was a lie. To honor the dead does not mean to obey the system that sacrificed them. To honor the dead means to refuse the next offering. Law for real means still exists. The living man and living woman of the land still exists. The estate is still claimable. The crown only rules the unclaimed. We honor the dead by claiming ourselves. We honor the dead by protecting the living. We honor the dead by saying, not again. Not for banks, not for crowns, not for flags, not for lies called history. They died believing they were saving us. So now it is our turn to save them. This is remembrance. Remember them. Remember who you are. Remember them. Remember who you are.
Dude, sorry, I really needed to play that. I've listened to that about 10 times. It's brought
It's a good
tears to my
song.
eyes. It's so deep and profound.
Yep.
Dude,
It's
what do you
sad.
think?
It's
Sad.
sad. It's sad because the I don't know, man. Just these scumbags dream up these wars, banker wars, so that they can paper over economic collapses that are impending, or they can redraw the map, or they can destroy their competitor, or they can gain access to a new market. It's never ever about freedom or any of that horseshit that they're sold.
Democracy.
We're out here spreading democracy. That is a euphemism for bombing brown people. That's what America specializes in. It's a stain on humanity. It's an embarrassment. The octopus book I wrote in 2017 is more global. Controlled Demolition with Berwick in 2020 is brings it a little bit back. It focuses more on the American empire, which is still global. And I had to write about a lot of war. And I've got a new book that I'm working on that gets into the history of eugenics. And there's in that song, he's talking about it's not accidental. Like this war, like the war, it's not. We grow up with this belief, this misguided belief that because we don't want war, they don't want war. That who would want war? It's crazy, right? And so you think our side is trying to prevent this war, and maybe the other side is trying to start it. If you're an American, that's what you're told. I mean, it's always the Russians. It's always somebody else. We're always the victim. It's somebody else is always the problem. It's never us. And you see that it's all lies. I did this episode for macroaggressions that was called 1973. And it was just that year because it was such an important year. And there was a war in October in the Middle East. There, that took oil prices to record highs. Right? It was Israel was involved and Egypt was involved, and they're just there was a fight. And the maritime choke points, the Suez Canal and places like that are now under threat, and oil prices triple in just a matter of days. That war was put on the calendar in February of that year at Bilderberg. And you know that because the invitees at Bilderberg were all the oil companies. That's what they were talking about. They planned that war. They told them they were going to do it. They were in on it. And then they did it. And that's how wars are. So this notion that Donald Trump is going to save us, is going to come in and grab Zelensky and Putin by the neck and sit them down and make them work. That is a magical fairy tale that is being sold to the general public. They want these wars. They need these wars. These wars are part of a much bigger future world war that, let's be honest, has probably already started. If we look back 50 years from now on into the history books, there'll be a lot of things, maybe not a hot war per se, how people think of it, but certainly a silent war, a propaganda war, an information war has been a monetary war, trade war, every other way in which you can declare war on somebody, we're currently living through. I think World War III might have already started, and we just don't. We're looking for a different version of it. We're looking for tanks on the corner. We're getting propaganda from the computer. That's way more effective, you know?
Dude, I agree with you. I read Bill Cooper's Pale Horse, and the best part was the quiet war with silent weapons. And that's the only part I liked about the book. And I totally agree with everything that was written in that document. That is what they're doing. It is World War III, and it's a quiet war with silent weapons. And it's financial, it's propagandizing, it's our health, it's everything. But the reason why I was really keen on showing this Remembrance Day thing and the song is because there's a former politician here in the UK who said that Rishi Sunak, who was a Conservative leader, did not want to be a wartime president and was passing the baton to the Labour minister, head minister, because he didn't want to be the wartime president. So that's the equivalent of the head of the Republican president going, yeah, I don't want to be a wartime president. So then gifting it over to the Democratic leader so he can be the president. That's what it's the equivalent. And that's what Andrew Bridgen said to me on my podcast. And here is a tweet breaking: Germany will require all men to sign up for potential military service from the 1st of January 2026. And Andrew Bridgen reposted this. And you just have to ask yourself, what the hell is going on here? What is this saber rattling? What is this drumming the war beat? Drumming the war, whatever thing. Something's happening, and it's worrying because these wars are bankers' wars, and young innocent men, potentially women as well, are just going to go off and get slaughtered potentially. It's very sad. And then there's also, people are like drumming up this idea of civil war in America, and it's going to be a fake ass civil war. And it's going to be like fake ass actors just again to bring in this totalitarianism. Maybe that'll be the end of elections forever in America. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, it sounds very dystopian, but right now, nothing's off the table, is it? Okay, let's talk about reviews, folks. Many of you can't afford to do a paid subscription to my Spotify or Substack channel. And I know some of you might not want to buy the things from my affiliate page, but you can support my work by sharing my content, sending links to your friends and family and work colleagues. And, if there's a podcast that you thought was extremely interesting and enlightening. And also you can leave reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's a bit tricky. You have to listen to a full episode, and then there's like 3 buttons at the top. You click that and then you leave a review and blah, blah, blah. 5 stars would be great if you can. And again, the reason why is the more reviews, the more attention the algorithm programming gives, so that it comes up high on people's search bars and lists. So the visibility is higher, and then hopefully I can get new audience. And this podcast is all about sharing the knowledge and getting as many people to wake up to the nonsense as possible. So if you can, please just take a few seconds and leave a review. Much appreciated. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
No, in that song, they were talking about 10 members of a family going off and one of them coming back. The other 9 who should have come back to their wives and their kids and raised that family. What happens in Europe? What happens in Germany? They ship all the men off to go fight Russia. You know how hard the Russians fought the last time you guys did that. They lost tens of millions, and they're prepared to do that. What happens to Germany? Well, it's not just that the one guy goes back and the 9 don't. They go back to a Germany that's unrecognizable, where 70% of 7th graders in Germany cannot tell time on a clock. Did you know that?
What? Why?
They don't know how to tell time.
Why?
The teachers in Germany are being forced to teach it. Some of them teach at multiple schools. So many teachers have just up and quit. They say, we can't communicate with the students.
What? Because they're all
They
migrants.
don't speak German. They're all migrants.
Oh my God.
The public schools in New York City are saying we need translators forget teachers. Teachers are out. We need translators. We have 20 different languages being spoken in New York public schools, and the teachers can't communicate with almost anybody in the class. So again, is this accidental? Is it bad luck? Is it just, no, it's intentional. It's being done on purpose. It's part of a much bigger play. And that's the thing. If you just look at it as your country or your city or whatever, it's kind of hard to figure out what's happening. But as you pull back, you realize it's not just your country. It's happening everywhere. I had a conversation with Dan Lyman, who runs a company called Border Hawk News. He used to be the head of InfoWars Europe. And he said that he had his reporters were in Croatia, and they were talking to the police there and about the migrants that they were catching. They say, you guys find anything that's unusual? Or and they said, yeah, as a matter of fact, the money is unusual. They've got these debit cards. They've all got the same debit cards, and they're being given to them by Open Society Foundation, which is Soros, right? And they're like, oh, interesting. And the cop said, well, that's not the interesting part. They're reloadable cards, but it's not Soros who's reloading them. It's the EU.
What the hell, man? What the hell? Have you heard of
It's being done on purpose.
Of
Trying
course,
to reimagine Europe and America.
Absolutely, it is. Have you ever heard of this guy, the Truth Contract? I spoke to him today. So he talks about this. So he talks about, look, this is the problem that we've got. We've got the war on private ownership rights, the war on identity and future, education, learning, the war on peace, warfare, defense, the war on human rights, immigration, integration. All these wars on natural resources, war on nature, war on nations and borders, the war for our mind. Yeah, I agree with all of this. He talks about big tech, big bio, whatever. But the problem was, when it came to solutions, I don't really know what the solutions was. And I don't think he had any solutions either yet. He said we need to work on that. He's putting a team together to come up with the solutions. And he goes, we need to do it in the next 2 years. And I said, do you think the political system is a solution? And he was like, what, do you think it's not? And I was like, no, I don't think it is the solution. And he wasn't very clear on what his solution was. I think he still is trying to formulate it. People always say to me, oh my God, you sound very black-pilled. What's your solution? I don't really see anything other than every human being saying no and raising their consciousness and spirituality and sovereignty and just saying, why are we putting up this shit anymore? I'm not going to go fight these wars. I'm not going to police these stupid laws. I'm not going to pass judgment in court on this innocent person for wearing a mask or whatever. individuals everywhere need to up their game and stop complying and stop going along with the system. Because as long as we all go along with the system and partake in it, then we're part of the problem. Like if they say you're not allowed to go out, you know what? The police officer should just ignore everybody and just let them go out and go, I'm not going to police this stupid rule. Like, they're just innocent people. These are my community. If they want to go out, let them go out. I'm not enforcing lockdown. Like, neighbors need to stop grassing up on their neighbors. Oh, there's someone who's not locking down and social distancing. Like, it's neighbors grassing on neighbors. This is the problem we've got. Doctors reporting other doctors doxing on other doctors. We are doing this to ourselves, and until we stop, I'm sorry, the bad people at the top are going to have their way. That's what I think is the solution. And the reason why I'm a little bit pessimistic is I think we're a long way away from enough people stepping up to make a meaningful change. What about you? Like, let's talk about solutions. What is the way out of this perpetual nightmare that we're all in right now?
I think we have to be honest about what our problem is. Our problem isn't too many people disregarding the rules. Our problem is compliance. Our problem is that too many people are doing what they're told without thinking about what it is they're doing, without asking themselves, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this morally? Should I be doing this? Does this align with... They're just doing what they're told. And of course, there's a segment of society that will always do what they're told. This isn't new. This didn't just happen. This is why there are governments, because you can control large groups of people very easily. And so this is what's happening. They're controlling people. There are solutions, but you've got to be realistic in your solutions. If your solution is, I want everybody to understand that government is a criminal enterprise and that we'd be much better off without it, and that's too much. You're going to have to start with yourself and your family. Take action, the actions that you can take right now. So one of the first ones I will give people, and this is to reevaluate the relationship that you have with your bank. Immediately, you need to do this. You need to understand that if you are in the G7, they created bank bail-in legislation that allows the banks in your country to take your money from your bank account. Now, when governments legalize things like that, they tend to do that because they're going to use them. They don't legalize stuff like that to sit on it. Okay, you as a bank account holder think that is your money in your bank account. You need to read the fine print. The second you open that bank account and put your money in there, you become an unsecured creditor of that bank. You are in third position behind the shareholders and the bondholders. Okay, it's not a good place.
Shit.
If the bank wants to take your money, they can take it. It's legal. It's not stealing your money because it's not your money. When you put it in the bank, it's their money, and you are an unsecured creditor of that account. So get clear on that and realize, oh, hang on a second. Like, I didn't know that. You can test this. Go to your bank and try to withdraw $10,000 in cash today. See what they say. First of all, they won't do it for you. Second of all, you are going to get asked a million questions about what you want this money for, where you're going with it, what you're going to do. This is how it is now. So can you fix the world? No. You can fix your bank. You can fix your relationship with bank account, right? You can get honest about that. You can.
So what would you do? What would you do? What would you do?
Get your money out. Move it into a credit union, something that's smaller. So here's what's going to happen. I'll tell you what will happen in America with regard to a banking collapse, because it's coming. It's just a matter of when. Commercial real estate in the US, most of those deals are done through medium-sized banks. not the small ones and not the big ones. Medium-sized banks that nobody's really ever heard of. They do most of the commercial real estate loans. The commercial real estate industry in the United States is a catastrophe. I've been 25 years in real estate in California and Nevada as a licensed broker. Commercial real estate is going to be a catastrophe. When it goes bust, and it will, because they're not filling up office buildings and nobody's coming in and the retail's shutting down. When those buildings go bust, the banks that are holding all that debt are going to become insolvent. And when that happens, anybody who has their money in a bank is going to get spooked, and they're going to have two decisions to make. Keep your money where it is and hope that your bank isn't next to get liquidated, or move it to a bank that you think won't get liquidated, like Citibank or Bank of America, the devil, essentially. If there's a panic in the banking industry, people are going to run. You just don't know which direction they're going to go. If they run to the big banks, there go the small banks, because everybody's leaving. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And for those Americans listening who say, well, we don't have to worry about that. We have the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. They're a insurance policy backstopping each of our accounts up to $250,000. We're fine. If I don't have $250,000 and they steal my money, FDIC will make me whole. Sure, they will. If your small little regional bank goes bust, FDIC has enough money to come in there and take care of it. If you have a systemic banking collapse and you think the FDIC is going to come in and backstop you, all of the money that's in all the banks that the FDIC has insurance for, they only have 1.6% of all of that in insurance money for you. So best case scenario, you'll get 1.6 cents on the dollar. But here's the problem. They have all that money invested in bonds that are upside down. So the FDIC, the backstop for the banking apparatus in America, is insolvent. Just so you know. And there's legalization through the G7 to steal all the money in your bank account. So if you know this, and it's both of those things are true, how can you look at your bank the same way? You have to say, this is crazy. If I have to take money out in cash and put it under my mattress, it's better there. By the way, if you have safety deposit boxes in the banks, they'll crack those open with crowbars and take all the stuff out of there. Because once again, you are an unsecured creditor in that safety deposit box. And in a banking collapse, they'll take it all.
Wow.
And that's coming.
Dude, this is scary.
That's not on my calendar. I don't know when. But you take that knowledge, very unstable kind of financial world out there, and add in the Deutsche Banks and Credit Suisse of the world, who have all of these, both zombie banks, have these derivative trades with each other. There's like a casino inside a casino that's out of control, where they're betting on bets of bets. And there's $2 quadrillion of derivative bets that are being made with all these banks. So it's kind of like betting your buddy on the Super Bowl. You know, if I take one team, he takes the other team. I win, my team wins the bet. At the end of the day, I go, give me the $100. And the guy goes, hey man, I don't have any money. I was just kidding. I don't have any money. So I won the bet. But did I? Because I can't get paid on it because the guy I had the bet with is insolvent. That's Deutsche Bank. That's Credit Suisse. And they're just waiting to go down. And when they go down, it takes everybody else with them. So this is and again, I'm not trying to freak people out. I know this is really hard to hear. But when you think of a banking collapse, you think, oh, it'll slowly take. This is like Thursday afternoon to Monday morning type of stuff, where it happens quick. And I lived through that 2008 financial collapse. I was selling homes in Vegas. I watched how fast that went. That was Friday afternoon. We're in trouble. We need $700 billion by Monday morning, or there's going to be riots. And when they got it. So things happen fast in the financial world, especially when the whole thing is orchestrated. So if they know that things are going down, you'll see forced marriages between banks, and this is the direction we're going. So if you know this, again, if you have this knowledge in your brain, you got to start thinking about your money differently. You got to think, oh man, I don't know if it's safe here. I think I got to put it in gold, put it in silver, put it in something else, put it in bullets, hell, anything, any sort of asset that is outside of that system, anything that doesn't have counterparty risk, meaning for me to do well, I don't need you to do poorly. Things like that will be safe haven assets. And there are solutions out there. Don't let somebody tell you that there aren't. Anybody who's telling you there's no solutions is trying to keep you fearful so that they can manipulate you. Get honest about it, for sure. Like, don't be in denial about what we're up against, but then go, fine.
Okay.
Let's get a plan together, man. Let's figure this out. Because I can't stop it. It's coming.
So I watched this video, I've forgotten the guy's name, and it was like, there is no stopping what's coming. There is no stopping their devious plans, the collapse, the chaos. It's going to happen. And maybe if you're rich enough, you can weather it out. But the main options are you either just suck it up and become part of their slave system, or you need to totally reinvent your life and create like a parallel community, parallel economy, and you'll just have to find your own tribe and work with them and trade with them outside of all their bullshit system. But that really that's it. That's the options. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and there's groups like that, Freedom Cells. I've met a lot of the people who are running these groups, Derek Bros, John Bush, guys like that, who they're doers. I think there's I think you're right. You need to find these tribes, like-minded people. They're out there. You don't have to invent it from the beginning. You don't have to be the one who's in charge of creating this. You can join up with people who are like-minded and have, and are taking a look at the world honestly, not the way they want it to be, but
I'm not even talking about
they're
online.
seeing it presented to them.
I'm not even talking about online. I'm talking about you need to find people in your community. Like we've become.
That's what I'm talking about. These people all live together. These are networks within your city that network you together, but it's beyond that now. They're now in intentional communities, and there's people that are breaking apart now that are recognizing that, when the bullets start flying, that's the wrong time to get a plan together.
The problem is
you have to be thinking about this well in advance.
The problem is, like, some people say, oh, you need to find a commune. Like, finding people you want to live with is difficult. There's a lot of strange people out there. You want to find nice people to hang out with,
Yeah. You've got to be proactive, I guess, is ultimately my point. And in doing so, you by taking action, whatever action, maybe it's buying storable food, maybe it's converting your 401k and IRA into like physical gold and silver, you can do that. You say, I think the financial system is headed for whatever it is. As you start to take action, you don't feel as helpless because you're doing something. It's the people that sit and wait. Oh, daddy government, please come and save me. Well, you're not going to like their solutions. And it's always one size fits all. It's never good. I just tell people, look, in the relative calm of today, calm by whatever standards, I guess how crazy it could be, you're gonna wish at some point in the future that you could get in your DeLorean and set it back for this moment right now and knock out a bunch of stuff that you should have done, that you wish you had done. But here we are right now. You can do that. You can plan. You can make some moves right now. There will be a time when you can't. Martin Armstrong talks about this. He was talking about when the bullets start flying, the money shuts off. The capital controls kick in. If you think that's the time you're going to move your money out or you're going to formulate your plan, you know, it's, I don't want to say it's too late, but it's,
Okay.
you just need to be a little bit paranoid. But the thing that the irony of the paranoia is that as you start to act on it, you don't feel paranoid. You feel prepared. It actually is a very positive feeling. But it started with, oh God, I think everything might not be all right. You're allowed to
Okay.
have that feeling.
Okay, so basically, we might have a hot war on our horizon.
Yeah.
We are definitely due a massive financial reset, which is going to be catastrophic. There might be some massive internet cyber outage, and then we lose all our bank accounts, and then you have digital currency come in, and we will we'll still all have our debts and our mortgages. It will just be transferred over. Something like this is coming. But what I'm trying to say is, like, what about the bigger picture? You know, how do we reclaim our countries? How do we get rid of these politicians, this parasite class? How do we do that? Like, speaking to this guy today, you know, behind this initiative that he's talking about, I didn't have any clear answers. He was talking about creating this underground group, and we, you know, work together and we come up with the solutions. I was like, yeah, but what? I didn't hear anything. And I don't think the answer is through voting. I don't think the answer is through a new political party. I mean, what is the answer? How do we defeat these people once and for all? Or is there no defeating them?
No, of course. So if it was pointless, they wouldn't need all the propaganda. That's how the few control the many. So it's most definitely up to us to push back. But you have to be careful with violence with the state, because as they say, the state has the monopoly on violence. They know how to use it. They know how to deal with that. You show up to a fight with the state, they're going to win. But there's other ways that you can do it. You have to,
which is so sad, because the state is using other little human beings just like you and me to fight against us. It's not the politicians. It's not Larry Fink that's fighting us. It's not the bankers fighting us. It's just Tom, Dick, and Harry, who've also got a mortgage and a house and kids. And what I mean is, like, those idiots should stop fighting us. They should not listen to their orders and go, no, screw this. We're not fighting our own people.
But during these wars, they dehumanize the other side. You know, Americans were taught, soldiers were taught that the Japanese were monkeys, and you have to dehumanize them. I mean, if you're a 18-year-old kid from Iowa and you've just been shipped off to fucking Hanoi, and you've got a guy in your sights, and you have a momentary thought that you're about to end this guy's life, and that, you know, maybe he liked football like I like football, you know, like maybe we'd be friends, like maybe, you know, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't hate that guy. That guy didn't do anything to me. Now, you know, once you're in the war, they're shooting at you, so you're shooting at them because you want to go home and see your mom. You know what I mean? And I get that once you're in the war, but initially you have, so in order to get these guys to take that shot in World War I, they were all missing high, you know, they didn't want to shoot the other guys. And that they had these sticks that the lieutenants would come behind and make sure that their guns were down low enough, because they were intentionally shooting over the heads of everyone. They didn't want to kill people. They certainly don't want to kill people, Europeans killing other Europeans that look like them. When you're on the battlefield, you can't even tell who's who, right? It's one thing if it's like white against black or whatever, and you're somebody's invading your territory and you're defending yourself and fighting back. I'm supposed to go to Ukraine and fight the Russians? Why? You know, this feels like, it feels like something bigger.
Yeah, but what I was talking about was, I'm worried about, like, the state using force on its own people. Can you imagine, like, if everybody said no? It's the police officers, the rioting officers, who are beating up their own people. Like,
this is why I hate cops. This is why I have a blanket statement. And I say, there are no good cops. I say, well, my uncle's a cop and he doesn't do anything. This is what I mean. If you are a police officer, your job is to enforce the laws. And those laws, some of those laws are immoral and unjust. And for you to enforce them, by default, you are the bad guy. But I'll tell you this, all you cops out there, you're one bounced paycheck away from switching sides. You work for the state today, but if they don't pay you on Monday, then you don't have a job. So they need to be very careful about that. There's the relationship, the enforcement arm who would come to enforce the rules in a situation where the state was cracking down against its own people. The enforcement, the police, don't exactly have a whole lot of respect here in the US. They're not loved. They're trained by the IDF to escalate situations, not de-escalate situations. So that's part of the reason why we have sort of the relationship we have with the police. It used to be that, back in the old days, like the Andy Griffith show, and, he'd put on his nice blue hat and he was there. Oh, let me help you fix your tire. Those days are gone. They've been replaced by the cops in black fatigues with masks and helmets. And if you dress like you're in a war and you're armed like you're in a war through the 1033 program that the United States initiated, which recycled back military equipment into the police force for just the cost of shipping and handling, which is crazy.
They've got armored personnel carriers, for God's sake.
That cost them $0. Only the cost of shipping. All they have to do is request it. They have helicopters that they get from them too. They have bazookas. They have flamethrowers.
What?
This is the thing. If you look like you're in an army and you're armed like you're in the army, you start looking for people to shoot. You start looking for the enemy. But you're the police. You're supposed to be here to help. But pretty soon the enemy looks like everybody. And the police start acting like maniacs. And there's no accountability and they don't get sued. And I'm in Denver. Denver had a really horrible case of police shooting that was on film. Them shooting an unarmed man in a hallway in a hotel.
Oh, I've seen that. It's horrific.
It's awful.
Horrific.
And what did that cop get? Lifetime pension. He sued the police department for firing him and he got a lifetime pension. He didn't get put in a cage for murdering that guy. He got taken care of for the rest of his life.
Put your hands up. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands in front of you. Don't stand up. Stand up right now. The guy was like all over the place. I told you not to do that.
Simon says you're dead.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Police sanctioned murder on camera. Nobody's held accountable. So I'll tell you, if the revolution comes and the police decide that they're going to come enforce this, bring it on. You guys will get what you deserve. I'm sorry, but the average American who's waking up to this is horrified. They have been they've been comfortably asleep for decades. And whether it was 9/11 or COVID or whatever, it's waking people up and they're starting to ask some questions.
Are people waking up though?
I don't think they're going to like the answers, but at least they're waking up.
Are they waking up though?
Not enough of them. Not enough of them. Not enough of them. But you see it. I see some people, and it's crazy what gets you to the party. Sometimes it's health. Sometimes it's your doctor lying to you about your health, turns you into somebody who fixes their health and then asks, what else did they lie to me about? And then they lead into everything. And they go, oh, yeah. It's all party. So whatever gets you to the party, start asking questions. Good. But this is kind of where we are, man.
Oh, man. Listen, I'm going to take a break.
It's a heavy time to be paying attention.
I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do what you do. I'm going to do a live, what you call it? Advert? When you place your adverts on yourself. I never do this. I normally do pre-recorded ones. People are going to hate me. Doug Malik's doing an advert. Stop doing an advert. Just do it free. Give it to us for free. Why are you doing these horrible adverts? Well, listen, guys. Sorry. I don't have sponsors. So I'm doing my own advert, for God's sake. Right. Listen, look at this. How cool is this, man? You can tell me what you think of this. Oh, no, I can't share it. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, no, I can't. Right. No. Can you see that? No. Yeah, you can. Can you see that screen?
I see a big black screen on my
okay.
On my side, unfortunately.
So, Honest Health Coaching today. This is a review today. Honest health coaching is exactly what Doc provides. He truly exceeded my expectations. Ahead of the call, I'd provided a quite detailed and lengthy breakdown of my circumstances with specific questions to be covered. Yeah, it took me 90 minutes to get through all that. Not only had he clearly gone through this meticulously, he had deep dived the topics in depth so that his feedback was incredibly relevant, expert, and actionable. The consultation was a forum for him to ask further exploratory questions and present his recommendations and advice, all of which were superlative and way beyond anything I could expect from the mainstream medical industrial complex. Doc had obviously spent several hours in advance preparing for my call, and the experience has left me motivated, empowered, superbly well informed, and stunned but relieved that this degree of transparency, honesty, and compassion is available in a healthcare setting. There you go, folks. How freaking cool is that? Now, if you like the sound of that, please book a consultation with me. Visit my website, docmalik.com, blah, 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 and you will have an amazing conversation. And I'm speaking to people about cancers and heart attacks and depression and diabetes and statins and how to get off vaccines and the whole shabam. So you know what? Pick my brains, book a consultation, and I'm back to Charlie Robinson. How was that? Was that okay? Is that all right?
That was really good. Yeah.
Woo.
Listen, when you feel bad, you'd give anything to feel better. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta. Here in the US, man, people are so sick. They're so sick.
I know.
It's
They're here
preventable,
too.
of course, but
you know,
there's
what part of the helping the community thing, right? So my local garage owner, right, where I service my cars, he's not that healthy, and he's had a bit of problems, and he's a typical guy, right? And what I mean by that is, I saw a meme on Instagram of like, it's a video of a fish, and it's a really cute fish. I don't know what fish it was, but it was very cute. It was like going, you know, like those puffy noises, and it was eating something off the seabed. And then the video pans back, and it's like a little wee flippers. It pans back further, and it's missing half its body. Like, its tail's missing, its body. Something has literally taken a chunk out of this fish. And it's still like going, eating the seabed, like missing half of its body. And then this little like tagline comes up, like, this is your typical guy. And when you ask him how's life, he goes, it's okay. And it's like, it's not okay. He's like, he's missing half his body, for God's sake. But that's what guys are like. Guys bottle it up. They never talk about stress. They never talk about their trauma. They never talk about their issues. Everything's always all right. They're missing half their body, but it's okay. I'm not going to talk about it. Everything's all right. But this garage owner kind of like opened up to me a few months back and was like, you know, this is going through a difficult time, blah, blah, blah. So, and he's overweight and he's not healthy. And so I've been like quietly dropping in. I send him a text, like, dude, I want to help you out. I want to help you out. And he's like, no, I know, Doc, but now's not a good time. And, you know, you can't force anyone. But I took my car to get serviced. And I go, right, how much is it going to cost? And it's normally about $500. And he goes, Doc, he looked up at me and went, Doc, for you, nothing. I was like, what? He goes, nothing. I was like, dude, that's amazing. Thank you so much. He went, my pleasure, Doc. And so I went away. I went, that's bullshit. Can't accept that. So I spent literally 2 hours putting together a guide for him, like covering everything. And I printed it off this little document. And the next day I drove back up and he was outside in the, you know, where all the cars are parked. And he looked at me and I was like, hey buddy. He went, is everything all right? Like, you literally just took it yesterday. I was like, everything's fine. This document is for you. And he was like, what? I was like, dude, this is the plan. And I love you. And I want you to action it. And this is the message he then texted me. And I thought it was just beautiful. I'm going to read it out to you. He goes, thank you, my brother. You are incredibly kind. To take the time to care is difficult for me to deal with. But I thank you from my heart. I will be grabbing the golden key. Because I said to him, look, dude, this is like a golden key. And like in life, people see a golden key, but they don't actually see the golden key. They just think it's a rusty key and they walk by it. This is an opportunity. Grab the golden key. So that's why I say golden key. But I also have problems. It's a lot to take in. And my biggest fear is letting people like you down. Thank you with much, much love, Alex. So I wrote back saying, morning. Men are notoriously bad about talking about their emotions and feelings. We bottle it up but in the end, it consumes us. Learning to let the facade go around those you trust is very important. In fact, it's liberating. Don't worry about letting other people down. In fact, don't care that much about what other people think. First of all, care about yourself. Self-love. And as for a lot to take in, I get it. That's why I kept it simple, and I didn't think you were ready for quantum biology. Cheeky face. Just take baby steps and be consistent. And if you trip up, don't beat yourself up. Just pick yourself up and keep going. And you know how to. Love. Doc. So the next week, I had to take my wife's car to get serviced. And now he's like, 4 tires need changing, brake pads need changing. And he went, Doc, look, I'm really sorry. I have to pay for the parts, but I'm going to take 25% off labor this time, if that's all right. I was like, dude, you don't need to give me anything, but it's very much appreciated. And then I said, look, what do you think about the document? He went, mate, I'm already doing little baby steps. I promise you I'm starting. Thank you so much. And then I said, right, come over to my house for coffee next week and we'll have a little chat. So he's coming around on Tuesday morning for an hour chat. And this week I met my baker, and I love the baker. He's such a nice guy, but he's got a very strong body odor about him. Very strong, pungent, and he's slightly overweight. Okay, but not slight. He's a bit overweight. And I said to him, mate, I can tell you're metabolically not healthy. And I'm telling you this out of love. You know I'm a doctor. I'm just telling you. I'm going to message you later on because there's some people behind me. And I said it very quietly. And then, so I sent him a message on Instagram saying, look, I want to help you. I was diabetic. I was hypertensive. I was metabolically unhealthy. And I know you are, and I want to help you turn it around. And he didn't respond on Instagram. And then 2 days later, I went back to the bakery, and he came up to me, and there's no one there. And he goes, I'm sorry I didn't respond to your Instagram message. The truth is, I'm going to get quite emotional. No one's ever shown any kindness like this to me before in my life, and I don't really know how to deal with it. But I want to take you up on your offer. So he's coming around on Monday morning, and he's going to spend a couple of hours with me.
Now you just need the dry cleaner and who else? The vet. You know, you just get all these people on the payroll. You
and I'm not charging. I'm not charging them. But you know what? It's reciprocity. You just help people, not to get something back, but to do good in the world. And then the universe provides back in some way. And what I'm trying to say is like, we just need to look out for each other more. Folks, as you know, I have no sponsors for the show, but I have got 4 affiliate codes with companies that I work with. And I've used these companies and I've used their products, and that's why I recommend them. The first is Hunter and Gather. They produce a range of food products without seed oils in them, from olive oil, MCT, ghee, mayonnaise, whatever. It's fantastic. We've been using it for years, and I'm delighted that I'm working with them. If you visit my website, go to affiliates, you'll see my code, and please make sure to use it when you're ordering anything. Another one is Sea Greens. Now that's based from seaweed, and it provides you with biocompatible iodine, which is essential for your thyroid and hormonal health, as well as all the essential micronutrients. If you want to know more about it, there's a podcast that I did with Simon Ranger. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, all the details are on my website. Then there's a water distiller company that I use. And then lastly, a sauna company, Heracles Wellness. They do a range of things from hyperbaric oxygen to saunas to cold plunge. And again, I've done a podcast with Keith Wareski, who is one of the owners of that company, and it talks about the benefit of sauna and cold plunge. So folks, do visit my website, docmalik.com. If you go to the top bar, there's an affiliate section, and all the details are there, as well as all the codes and discounts. Okay, folks, back to the show. Dude.
Stress killed my dad. It killed him. He went out for a jog, and he died. From blockage in his artery, you know, in massive stress and all of that we didn't know was going on because he hid it. Yeah.
This book, Malcolm Kendrick, talks about clots and heart attacks and strokes. And the main driver behind, I mean, it's multifactorial, but one of the main drivers is stress. It's not high cholesterol. That's bullshit. Stress is a killer.
My dad was a jogger. So it wasn't like he was sitting around getting fat or anything like that. It was just never ending financial stress. am I good and can I do this? And that is one of those, it's preventable. It's so preventable, but you got to get honest about it, right? You got to know that it can kill you. Because I think we as guys, we're like, I can, I've been punched in the face. I can handle an insult. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. When it's because it's internal or emotional, it doesn't show up the same way that we're used to. And if we have a bruise, we know we've been in a fight. But sometimes our internal bruises don't show, our emotional bruises don't show. And we, as guys especially, have been really trained to not talk about it. I had a moment a couple days ago with my wife. It was the 1-year anniversary of my mom dying. And I had she got cancer. I rode out 98 days with her in her apartment as she went through the end. And I knew I knew how it was going to end, and she knew how it was going to end, and we just did that together. And so it had been a year after that. My wife was like, she said, I was going to cook a dinner and make a cake, and we were going to kind of have a big night to her. And she's like, before I did all that, I just realized that like the way you are, you wouldn't want that. You'd want to keep yourself quiet and not talk about it. And that's what I did. I didn't talk about it. I don't know how to do that.
You still don't know how to do it?
I don't see it as, I talked about it with my wife because it was dragged out of me. But I was ready to just keep going, not talk about it. It was an emotional day for me, but what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Cry about it and make a big deal? Like it's not going to change anything?
No. Let it out. I keep saying real men cry. Crying is good for you,
and
man.
I did all that when I was with her. While I was not in front of her, I didn't want her to see me doing that. Because I didn't want it to be written all over my face how bad it was. It was bad. But I would pull myself aside and yeah.
Do you know what? I'm tired of painting up walls and facades. If I'm going to cry, I'm just going to cry. I cry watching movies, man. I just cry. Just let it out. I also think it's important to show my son and my daughters that it's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotions. It's not a sign of weakness. So,
Yeah, I know it's not a sign of weakness. It's just, I also just have, I don't know.
I think men get a tough time. Seriously, I'm telling you right now. Women's health and men's health. Men's health, a lot of it's psychological. It's the reason why highest, suicide rates amongst men, older men as well. I think. It's tough. It's tough being a guy actually in this world today. You piss off all the women if you're too strong. Toxic man. You have to like conform. If you're strong-willed and opinionated, that's a problem. If you want to be a defender and protector of the family, that's wrong. It's tough, man.
Toxic masculinity. That was the big thing we've been hearing recently. Toxic. It's like, God, we can't win. If I'm too weepy and crying all the time, then I'm soft and
And I've heard it from enough women. Women want strong men. They want a guy who's going to protect and take care of them and look after them, and they don't want a softy soy boy. It's really weird.
I don't blame them. I see those guys and I have no respect for them either. I get it. I get it. It's I also wonder, because this is when I put my little tinfoil hat on, because I'm writing about eugenics and depopulation. I also wonder if there's there's the scientific component to eugenics, the thinning of the herd, but there's also a psychological one too. And I wonder if they're not trying to create such division between men and women that they're just failing to reproduce as well. Because there's a generation of guys that are like, I'd rather play video games and talk to my friends than deal with any of these chicks. Like, we're over it. And I suppose it goes both ways, but then you've got all the very feminized men and the whole trans thing. And it's like the reproductive breeding pool is getting smaller and weirder and more disjointed. And it feels like an attack on humanity from a variety of different angles. But this one just trying to get people to not want to have families, create economic uncertainty so you feel like you can't start a family. But even just if you had all the money that you needed, just don't want to bring kids in because climate change and that anxiety that they're feeding to people, and they're internalizing that, and they're going, I can't bring a kid into this world, we have pollution. I don't know.
There's a major problem. There is a sperm and egg-ageddon, right? I kid you not. And it's a collapse in fertility. So there's an 80% decline in global sperm counts since 1973. Can you imagine collecting all the jizz on the planet and measuring it and then comparing it now? Like 80%.
That's Lindsey Graham's job.
Yeah,
80%. He loves that.
80% decline, dude, since 1973.
That's
90% collapse in egg viability for women who are over 40 since the 1980s. 66% drop in fertility rates across the developed nations since 1960. Now, if we were an animal species, we'd be on the endangered list.
Yeah.
Like that's how bad it is. It's not good, mate. It's really not good.
No, and these people think that the rest of us are taking up too much space on their planet. And that what needs to be, and that the governing component of all this would be so much easier if it wasn't for all these goddamn people. And so they go about thinning the herd. And of course, there's a racism component to it as well. But make no mistake, they'll get rid of the white people too.
Right? Can I read something out to you?
Yeah,
so
please.
Global fertility rates have fallen below the 2-to-1 replacement level in many countries. South Korea's population could decline by 85% in 2 generations due to low birth rates. Japan's working age population has already shrunk by 10% since 2000. Europe's fertility rate averages 1.5 children per woman, below replacement. By 2050, 23 countries may see populations halve without intervention. China's population began declining in 2022, earlier than projected. Low fertility risks a 20 to 30% GDP reduction in affected economies by 2100. Immigration offsets only 10 to 15% of population decline in developed nations. This is horrendous. It's like, it's a huge ticking time bomb. And the reality is, if they wanted to depopulate the planet, it's working, mate. And there's lots of different things that could be happening. So you got the past, present, chronic medical conditions. You've got psychological stressors, toxins in your home and work environment, toxins in your personal care products, unhealthy lifestyle choices, pharmaceutical and medical interventions, toxins in the air environment, contaminants in the drinking water, toxic chemicals in agriculture and farming, toxic chemicals in livestock food production, toxins in food processing, storage and preparation, toxic EMF pollution and 5G exposure. This is a problem. And, the reality is our populations here in the West are going to get decimated. Like, there's going to be no people here. Like, by 2050.
The most popular episode of Macroaggressions I did was a couple of years ago, and it's called Where Did All the People Go? And what's interesting about this was that I wrote the episode out, and then I called Tony Merkel, who is my podcast partner. He does the engineering. And I said, I have an episode that I think is maybe too dark. I don't know that I want to do it. But, what do you think? He says, well, do this, record it, just go for it and record it. And then I'll listen to it. and then I'll tell you what I think after that. And I said, okay. So I recorded it, and he went in the back end and then listened to it. And I got a call from him like an hour and a half later after he listened to it. And he said, you have to put that episode out. You have to put that out. You have this is going to be the best episode you've ever done. I was like,
Oh, wow.
and what I did in it was, I think I connected some really scary dots. There was I took the Deagle Report. Are you familiar with the Deagle Report? It's a 2015 to 2025. For those who are unfamiliar, it's a report made by a company called Deagle. Deagle's a military industrial complex consulting company. If you're the Ukrainian army and you need to know how many helmets to buy next year, Deagle would be the ones who would run the numbers and tell you. So Deagle puts out this chart showing massive population drops, 70%. Population in 2015 is one number. Population in 2025 is 70% less. Now, you look at the number in America, down 70%. So you go, okay. So my thought is, well, maybe there'll be a corresponding increase in Mexico or Canada, right? Geographically, everyone's leaving the US, but they're going to these. No, it was down 70% in Canada. It was down 70% in Mexico as well. And you go, oh, where are they going? Right?
Yeah.
So that's Deagle, right? So you have that list, and it may or may not happen, right? That's what they did, and they put that out. Now, I knew about the Deagle Report in 2015. I used numbers from, and I referenced it in my Octopus book in 2017. So the Deagle Report wasn't anything new to me. But we're right in the middle of the vaccine rollout. Well, we're getting to the booster side of things. Right? They're starting to roll out the boosters. When I do this, I start pulling these numbers. I look at the Centers for Disease Control is what guides the numbers in the US. What I didn't know is that there's an international CDC. I just didn't know. And I found their numbers. And when I looked at the international CDC, showed vaccination uptake rates throughout the world, every country, who's taking them, how many they're taking. Really good information. So what I do is I start looking at this and I start checking out the vaccination rates. Now, every country is at least 51%. Every one of them is at least 50%. The highest is China at 90% for shots 1 and 2, but 0% on the boosters. They didn't do them. And then it shows all the other countries and where they are and what they're. And then at the bottom, you see the 20 lowest, the countries that are 20 lowest. And I'm curious, like, maybe they didn't get the ad campaign. Maybe USAID wasn't out there injecting all these people. So I start looking at the countries and I go, why do I know all these countries? Why are these countries all familiar? Seem familiar to me. I look at the Deagle Report. They were the only countries on the Deagle Report whose population didn't go down. And they were identical to the countries. Sudan. I'd have to pull it out. But it's like, it's the Middle East and like sub-Saharan Africa. It's all like, it's a couple, like just, I should get but it's 20 countries. And I look at them and they're all like in that 50%, 51, 52, 53, 57% vaccination uptake, which is the low end. And then I look at that Deagle, and the Deagle Report is a list of every single country, and they're all red, until you get to those last ones, and they're all green. Those last 20 are all green. They're small. They're not massive population increases, but they're there. And it's like, I look at that and I go, oh my God, the charts and the international CDC numbers lined up identically. And I went, and so I put that episode out. Dude, I got contacted by everyone. People in Japan I was getting messages from all over the world. People listening to that episode and they're going, something's wrong here. There's something wrong. And so after that, I got freaked out. Honestly, after I put that episode out, I was like, what if they don't want me? What if that's like the thing that I'm not supposed to talk about? And so if anyone is interested, you want to go back and listen to that episode. It's called Where Did All the People Go? And I don't remember what number episode it is. I could look it up, but
okay. But can I push back? Didn't the Deagle Report forecast for 2025? We're in 2025 and we don't have those massive drops. Like,
yeah, I know.
According to the Deagle Report, it said by 2025, China's population was going to drop by like 29 to 40%, Italy by 28%, you know, America by 68%. It was crazy numbers they were predicting. That hasn't actually happened.
When you look at the vaccination uptake percentage of what the uptake rate is, it's 68%.
So
it's like the numbers like you just put them on top of each other and they were like almost identical. I went, this is crazy. This can't, and again, like I'm not trying to will it into existence, and I don't want there to be a 70% population drop. I want Deagle to be wrong, of course. And they are wrong because it's 2025 and we haven't seen those numbers. But what if they're 2 years off? I mean,
yeah, I mean, look. They said in 2000
killing people.
Yeah, they said in 2017 the population is 327 million, and this Deagle report is saying it's going to be down to 100 million. Like, what the frack, dude? That's insane.
So it makes you ask the question: what do they know that we don't know? Why would you do that? So the question was, why did you do that? And Deagle's answer was they gave two answers for it.
Oh yeah.
A global pandemic and an economic collapse.
Great. Fantastic.
So
great. Isn't this so cheerful? This is all so nice, and oh man, we need to end in a nice upbeat manner, mate. You're meant to be all like happy, giggly, jokey. Like this is all getting very serious.
I am happy. Wow. I am angry at these people for what they have done to the innocents out there. The people who are just minding their own business, trying to live their life and go to work and take care of their kids, and they don't want any of this, and they're not interested in the politics. They're just decent people that don't want any of this, and these monsters are killing them with the lies, with the poisons, and all the stuff that they're doing. They're killing these decent people that they don't need to.
I was going to
say they have a different agenda, and I get it. I take personal offense to it. That's kind of how the whole thing started. Was that like I just take it personally that I'm being lied to. I'm being lied to by the pharmaceutical industry. So I'd write a book and write about all the lies that they tell, and then document it and footnote it and show it all and say, well, there you go. I personally get offended. Like, how dare you try to pass that off? Look, if we don't all get injected with the vaccines, then everyone will get sick. Sorry, I'm not a
100%.
child.
No, 100%.
I understand what's going on here. So it frustrates me, and I need to, be serious about that side of it. But then there is, as you mentioned, there is another side of me, which is like I've got my hands thrown up and I'm just laughing at the absurdity of it all. Because in some respects, you have to enjoy the show. You're here.
It's a great time to be alive. It really is.
It's a great time to be alive. It is, as the Chinese say, right?
You've got a front row seat.
Opportunity and danger. Yeah, and as Carlin says, you got a front row seat. So we've got... Would you want to live during the 1740s when nothing was going on, or would you want to be alive now? I mean, there's a lot to keep track of course, and it can get a bit dark from time to time, but it's an exciting time to be paying attention.
What's really frustrating for me is that none of this is necessary.
No, none of it.
We could all be paying literally just 1% tax. We could all be living with minimal regulations. We could all be living with beautiful homes and beautiful countryside and beautiful nature with lots of meat, with no chemtrails. We could be traveling to any country we want and not have border guards and passports. We could walk around and there'd be no terrorists, no carjacking, and none of this crap, and no politicians, and no speeding fines, and no garbage. None of this stuff. No wars, no famines. And, children really intelligent, no obesity, no diabetes, minimal cancer, no EMF radiation. We could be living in this absolute abundant paradise. But unfortunately, around about 10,000 people are psychopathic who want everything and are so twisted and up that in their desire to own and possess and control everything make the lives of 8 billion people miserable.
I would have a beach house on the moon by now if it wasn't for these bastards. It's just they've made every component of life more difficult when they didn't need to, simply because they can. That's the psychopathic. That's the interesting thing about,
stupid
people would say, what is it about Washington, D.C. that attracts all these bad people? Well, any place where you give power, influence, money, you centralize all of that, you're going to draw the worst type of people. The types who are motivated by power and money and things like that. The ones who get off on it. And so it's like, wow, I can't believe all these people are in Washington, D.C. are so horrible. It's like, well, you give them the things that horrible people love without exception. And you put them in charge, make them feel important. That's what psychopaths love, to be in charge. So the rest of us can't just mind our own business. We're forced to deal with them.
We're forced to deal with them.
It's one thing. It'd be nice if you could just say, I don't want to be a part of it, therefore I'm not. And I'm unaffected by it because I choose to be unaffected. Yeah, I suppose you can in some respects to get off the grid, but we're all going to be impacted by it. They force us to have to deal with them because of their behavior. And you're right. It's just frustrating because all of this emotional energy that's being put into destruction could be used to create a beautiful world if you just had the right people in power. But maybe we have to go through it, man. Maybe we have to go through this fourth turning.
Have you seen
to
this?
Come out the other end into a different world that's that we can reimagine a different way of doing things.
Wouldn't that be nice? Did you read this Substack? You Can't Fix Stupid, the 5 Laws of Human Stupidity.
No, I haven't seen.
So I wrote this after I did a podcast with Michael Yon, my brother. And it's based on a book called The Basic Laws of Human Stupidity by Carlo Cipolla. It's great. So the first law is always and inevitably everyone underestimates the number of stupid individuals in circulation. Second law, the probability that a certain person is stupid is independent of any other characteristic of that person. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, Muslim, Jewish, whatever, they're stupid people. The third law, a stupid person is a person who causes loss to another person or a group of persons while deriving no gain for himself or even possibly incurring losses. I mean, that is really stupid. Like, you're harming other people and yourself in the process. Non-stupid people always underestimate the damaging power of stupid individuals. In particular, non-stupid people constantly forget that at all times, in all places, and under any circumstances, dealing or associating with stupid people always turns out to be a costly mistake.
Yes.
The fifth law, a stupid person is the most dangerous type of person. And the modern meaning, Cipolla divided humanity into quadrants, and Michael Yon expanded on it, and I really liked it. And number one, he goes, in the number one quadrant, he goes, intelligent people are those who benefit themselves and others. And he goes, there's very few of those around in the world today. Number two, helpless people who harm themselves but help others. There's quite a few of those around. And the problem is the world is ruled by number three, bandits who benefit themselves at other people's expense. And number four, this is the majority of humanity. Stupid people who harm everyone, including themselves. The people who made you mask up and take the booster because they took the booster.
Yeah.
And what I wrote at the end was, the author warned that stupidity is more powerful than malice, ideology, or greed because it operates without motive and without limit. Although I have a slight distinction with him in the sense that I think there is a lot of malice and ideology and greed. I think the people who are at the top, the bandits, are driven by, they hate us. They think too many of us. They want to get rid of us, and they want to own everything, and they want to control everything. And you cannot fix stupid. You can only mitigate its damage, minimize exposure, and build resilience around it, and maybe reconstruct something out of the ashes. And the task of our time is to identify the stupid and refuse to give them power, social, political, financial, or emotional. Start by not voting. Start by not buying from their corporations. Start by taking sovereignty over your health, your body, and the choices you make. And because once stupidity becomes institutionalized, collapse is just a matter of time. And what we are seeing today in the West is the rot and evil of stupidity. My little Substack.
It also feels contagious sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you watch something that's so dumb that you're dumb just for watching it,
So we were having this chat.
We
were having this chat the other day about this, right? Remember, I'm going to touch upon it. If this is too sensitive, you can tell me, I'll stop. But I was talking about how it's difficult when you're in a relationship and you're meant to be walking in sync at the same pace towards the same destination. But when one of you is walking a little bit faster, it almost feels like you're pulling and dragging the other person along, and they can inevitably feel potentially a bit of resentment. So you don't want to do that. So that means you have to slow down, but in doing so, you get frustrated. And a little bit of the time that's what it feels like with my wife. And we were talking about this challenge. And so I just want to switch off the TV now. I'm not interested in TV. And this has gone from someone who was addicted to the TV. I didn't realize when I was addicted, but now when I look back, I used to consume an hour, 90 minutes of TV every night, and I thought that was normal, and I would have to watch it. Now, if I watch 15 minutes of TV, my brain actually starts to melt, just like what you just said. I feel like I'm becoming stupid. I listen to the script and the dialogue, and I go, this is fucking retarded. I have to say it out loud. And then my wife goes, oh, can you just relax? Can you just stop? Like, it's a TV. And I'm like, I am literally becoming dumb watching this. And I want the TV out of the house. I want to get rid of the TV. And unfortunately, my wife isn't quite there yet. She's like, I like my crime dramas. I like what's wrong with you? Just chillax, just switch off. But it's like, I'm just becoming a retard watching this.
Yes. For me, it's mostly sports. I will watch it, and that's my guilty pleasure. But I come out of the sports world, so to me, it's fine. I got to have that. If I don't have that, I'm a dangerous person. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't have that outlet, then, I really might lose it at some point. But, it's funny that, was that Michael Yon that wrote that about stupid people, or somebody else that wrote that?
I wrote that.
Oh, you wrote that.
That's my Substack.
Yours. Okay, because I can't see it. I couldn't see it when you.
No. So Michael Yon mentioned the book,
and then that sent you down that path of towards.
Yeah, I bought the book while he was doing the podcast. I'm very multitasking. I just quickly ordered it, and it came. And it's quite a short book. I read it like in one afternoon, and I was like, oh my god, this book is hilarious. It's brilliant. Like, I don't agree with him 100%. He says every country everywhere is the same. Most people are stupid everywhere. I don't think so. I think the reason why some countries were so prosperous and did so well was because there weren't that many stupid people. So, for example, like the German people traditionally are very industrious, very hardworking, and they're not stupid people. And that's why they succeeded, and that's why they're successful. And I think at different times and at different places, the proportion of stupid people is actually less, which is why certain countries get ahead. But the underlying kind of message, I do agree with. Like, there are a shit ton of stupid people around.
Yeah. And why has Germany been in those 2 world wars? Specifically because they're organized and smart and industrious and a manufacturing hub. And we can't have that. Can't have that prosperity, because if they're prosperous, then they'll rise up and they'll murder everybody. Because, like, we export our American empire mentality onto everybody. It's like, well, we have to take control of that country. It's like,
no,
why?
Dude, it's more
Are they
than
gonna
that.
get us? It's like, Well, they would think about it. It's like, whoa, like what?
No, dude, it's more than that. It's more than that. And an analogy I will give you is the Pfizer trial. And you'll be like, what? What's that got to do with Germany? So the Pfizer trial, you're meant to have in medical studies a placebo arm that gets nothing. And it's meant to be followed up long term to see what the long term effects are between the two groups. And everybody in the placebo group got the vaccine like literally within a year. And the whole reason was they did not want a large subset of people who were healthy who would show up the failure of the Pfizer vaccine. And what I'm trying to say is what they didn't want with Germany was a model of a country that could be a success where everyone is prospering. Because then people in America and Britain would be like, why are we so poor? Why is our life so miserable? Look over there in Germany. Why are they so successful? Why can't we have what they have? So it had to be destroyed. You cannot have a model that works well. You have to destroy that comparison. You can't have that true placebo. You have to give everyone the same shot.
Yeah, that's it. That's everybody's. If everybody's got the shot, then if everybody's a little bit sick, then nobody's really sick. We're all the same.
And if you look,
comrade,
aren't all the global problems the same? Why is it in Canada there's a housing crisis? Why is housing in Australia so expensive? Why is food so expensive in Britain and Australia and Canada? Why are living standards so poor in all the Western countries? Like, why are all these countries that are so different with their own resources, their own geography, their own nature, like, they're so different, but they are all fundamentally having the same problem: cost of living crisis, housing shortage, food problem, inflation, migrant invasions. Like, what the hell? It's like COVID all over again. Lockstep. All these countries are maybe completely different. Have all the same problems? Like, what's the chance of that happening?
Well, if you've got a central bank, then there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have the same problems as everybody else, because they can make it that way when they control the money.
Have you heard about the success story of Poland? Have you heard about Poland recently?
In what respect?
Dude, that means no. It's very interesting. You need to look into it. So Poland, that was like a basket case 20 years ago. And all the Poles were coming to the UK, your gardeners, your DIY people, your builders, your plumbers, your nannies, your cleaners. They're all Poles, right? And I saw that. I witnessed it. 2000s and everything, 2010s. Now, all the Poles are going. They're gone. And not just that. All the English and Scottish are moving to Poland.
Really?
Poland, by 2030, Poland's GDP is going to outstrip the UK.
You know what? I've got a writer. There's a guy who submits articles to me at Activist Post who writes to me from Poland, but he's a Brit. and I've got it. And Parallel Mike as well. Do you know Parallel Mike?
I've heard of him. Yeah,
Parallel Mike is relocated to Poland as well. Bought a farm.
This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So these guys are like technically getting advanced, have got a booming economy. They're very strict about who they're letting in terms of migrants. And but they're part of the EU. And they're like, the tech companies are flourishing. Unemployment is really low. Economy is booming. They've got very conservative values. And I just feel like it's not as organic as we think. I feel like when countries go up and down, the people at the top are deciding who's going to go up and who's going to go down. Am I being too critical here? Am I being too conspiratorial? But I feel like Poland's success is deliberately being manufactured to be like that. They're allowing it to flourish at the expense of other countries, but I'm not sure why. I don't know. Is it to create this bulwark against Russia? I just don't know. I just don't know what it is. But I don't think it's just down to the fact that the Poles are hardworking and great people, which they are, by the way. They really are salt of the earth, really decent human beings, good people. But I think it's more than that. I think they're just letting them flourish a bit, and I don't know why. Anyway, it's interesting. You should look into it, buddy.
Yeah, in Hungary as well, with preventing, the immigration situation. They're saying, no, we're good. And the EU is like, well, we'll charge you. We're going to fine you for that. And they're like, fine, we're not letting these people in. So there's something to be said for homogenization of cultures. It really works a lot better that way. This idea of like a melting pot, and America's a melting pot. Get out of here with that nonsense. That's propaganda. These countries that specialize, that have their own people doing their own things, way better off.
Dude, I'm the son of a migrant, and I'm telling you right now, multiculturalism has failed, and small groups of people coming and assimilating into the larger community and becoming part of that society and not supplanting it or changing it, just adding to the tapestry. I think that's fine. Like, you're cooking and you add a little bit of salt and pepper. Perfect. What you don't do is wholesale change the ingredients, and do you know what I mean? It's like, no, you don't do that. And that's what's happening now. And having different groups of people living in the UK, like from literally Somalia, Eritrea, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Croatia, whatever, Turkey, Sudan, all these places, Congo, like all these little people who are not joining that tapestry. They're all independent. And I think by 2050, it will no longer be a majority country by any one group. It will all be little small ethnic groups. And now there's no social cohesion. There's no cultural cohesion. There's no sovereign cohesion. And I think that's not a good thing. I'm sorry. And this is coming from an immigrant. It's a son of an immigrant. It's just not right.
Are you familiar with the Kalergi plan?
Yes, I've heard of the Kalergi plan. Do you want to expand on that, just in case someone hasn't?
Well, I mean, it's a plan to destabilize Europe by flooding it with migrants and screwing up the ethnocentricity of the countries and creating these fractures in it, destroying.
You're just anti-Semitic.
I'm just anti-Semitic. Yeah, I know. That's what I've been told. I've been told that if you understand history, you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those things. We look at what's happening, and we can be honest about it, or we can pretend like, we can go with the agenda. I see what's going on. I know what's happening. These people are being used as pawns. Military age fighting men. That's a weird thing to constantly be calling these people that are coming for a better life as refugees, to keep calling them military age fighting men over and over again. It's almost like you want me to think that you're importing a warring tribes into your country. And it feels very inorganic. I don't know anybody in Europe who's calling for this, like the people. Not the ones who are subjugated, like the leftists who are like, please, daddy government, please do whatever you want. But I mean, the people that are actually paying attention. This doesn't make anything better. Last time I was in London was 2019. Looked a lot different than the time I was there before that. I mean, it's obviously things are changing. But if it's changed because, or if it's organic, slow change over time because of, for some reason, that's one thing. When it's busloads or boatloads of people washing up, it's an agenda. So you have to ask, who's behind it? Well, the EU, as we talked about. Why do they want this to happen?
And the UK government.
UK government, yeah, of course. They're involved in everything. All roads lead to London.
So I think there's another rule that's been passed in Poland, that if you have 2 or more children, both couples each have a tax-free allowance of £27,000.
Good.
Which is massive. And what I'm trying to say is, like, if Poland can do that, why can't we do it? Like, we have a serious demographic problem. We are not making enough babies. And even with this flood of migrants, it's not enough. It's not enough. We don't have enough working age people to sustain the population.
the robots are going to come and take care of all that.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're fine. You're a useless eater.
I've done
That's
my
how they-
bit. I've got 3 kids.
Yeah,
I've
you've done
my-
your part. I got 1. We're
Dude!
behind the tension. We got to get that 2.1 number up a little bit higher.
Man, see, you're part of the problem.
I am part of the problem. How dare
Like,
I?
you really are part of the problem. Like,
Yeah.
I talk
I
about
should
this. I
explain
said,
this to my wife. Honey, I have to go out and impregnate a bunch of other women for the world. You
No,
know?
but I say this to people. One of the greatest acts of resistance today is to make as many freedom-loving babies as possible.
They got to be the right kind. They can't just be the kind. You can't have 8 kids just so that they can all get state handouts, right? They have to be, as you said, freedom-loving. They have to be
That's why I qualified
sovereign.
it. Yeah, that's why I qualified it. Freedom-loving babies. I didn't just say babies. All right, okay, listen. Let's wrap up. 2 hours. It's late here. I need to go to bed. Lovely talking to you. But listen, we've got our final question. I know last time it was behind a paywall, so people never heard it. You can always change your answer as well, because some people might not know. But you're on your deathbed before you pass on and meet your maker. What are you going to say to your lovely child, your lovely wife, and whoever else is listening around your deathbed?
Because I got to give you a
Dude,
different answer than the one I did before.
You knew this was coming, man. You knew this was coming.
Yeah. Have experiences. Have as many experiences as you can. Good, bad ones too. I mean, you're not going to set out to have them. Taste everything. Go get a passport. See the world. Trade in your worthless fiat currencies for life experiences. Go do all the things you want to do, that you should do. Go someplace that you've never been, just because you can, and do it all while you still can, in case things change. I don't know, man. I saw how little, I was sitting with my mom as she died. I saw how little things matter. All the stuff you think matters. It matters, I guess, when you're alive. But as you're starting to transition, I think it's a different perspective. I was having a different perspective on it. And I didn't feel bad for my mother as she was passing, in part because I know that she did everything she wanted to do. She didn't have a big, long list of... Yeah, she wanted to see me get older and my daughter graduate from those things, of course. But I mean, the get married, have kids, see the world, do all that. She did it. She crossed it all off her list. So if you're on your deathbed, and you have to pass advice to somebody else, I would say, you're here. Enjoy it. Do as much as you can while you can. Have a good full life. Enjoy your life, man. As far as we know, we only get one of them. I want to try and do everything I can. And I appreciate my friendship with you, man. It's nice to meet you,
Are you scared of dying? Same, buddy.
No,
it's really
'cause I've
been
done
nice meeting
DMT.
you too.
No, I'm not scared of dying because I've done DMT enough to know that if it's anything like that place you go to, then there's nothing to fear. We're so scared of the unknown. I don't know. I've changed my perspective on that. I've now seen death up in person a few times, enough to have a different relationship with it. I'm not welcoming it, of course, but I don't have that fear. I don't have that fear, and I don't have the fear of public speaking. I have plenty of other fears, but I don't have those. I just don't worry about that stuff. And I just go as fast as I can through this life, man.
I've got a theory. I've got a theory about death. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I do.
So, I think death has been deliberately hardwired into us to be something that we're meant to be scared of. Because if we could actually pull the curtain back and see what's behind death, we'd realize it's so amazing that all of us would check out of this existence straight away. We'd be like, we're paying taxis and staying in this shitty rental accommodation. Why? Like, I'm going to this 9-to-5 job where I hate my boss. Why? Like, I've got this amazing place that I'm about to go to. Like, why am I going to go there in 50 years' time? I'm checking out now. So, like, it's deliberately designed to make us fearful when actually on the other side, it's just bliss. And it's going to be awesome. That's what I think.
I had a friend of mine, a roommate friend of mine, who introduced me to a lady who had been a family friend of his for a long, long time, and she was a psychic, not like a crystal ball type, but like a legit one. And I had an experience with her where I walked into a room, and the first time I met her, and she said, "Oh, it's great to meet you. Your dad is with us here tonight." And I just was, whoa. This was very soon after my dad had passed. And talking to my friend, and my friend looks at me and goes, "It's cool. It's cool." She's all right. So that friend winds up taking his own life a couple years later. I talked to that psychic. I called her up, got her number and called her up and talked to her for like 4 hours one night, all night long. And I said to her, if you ever see him and you make sure you tell him that we all said, she didn't even let me finish. She said, where he has gone, nobody can reach him. We can't reach him where he is. And I said, because of the suicide? And she said, yeah. And look, I don't know. I'm not the one to ask about whether or not that's true or not, but that scared the hell out of me. The way she just matter-of-factly said that, I don't, if we are hardwired to fear death, it might be because they don't want us to check out early because we're here for a reason. This is the laboratory. It's the place where we go and make our mistakes and make our improvements. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it all works, of course, but it feels like there has to be a reason why it's difficult for us to pull the ripcord and check out. It's tempting, right? You get to these points where people have that question. Do I do this? Is that, a permanent solution to a temporary feeling is not how you want to go out. And I think about all the times that my friend shortchanged himself. And I remember how bad things were for him. And I was angry because he shortchanged me too. All the fun we could have had together. So I don't know, man. I don't know about this life. I don't know. I'm just a little brain here trying to figure it all out. I don't know if we're supposed to know it, but I don't fear death because I don't perform well when I'm fearful. And so I got to get over that. If that's riding shotgun with me through life, I'm going to be making weird decisions. I'm not saying jump out of airplanes, and tempt fate and do all that stuff. Live your life, of course, but don't live it like I can't leave my house today because what if I get in a car accident? You know what I mean? You'll never get anywhere. So maybe part of this life is learning how to overcome fear. Did you ever see the movie Defending Your Life? It was from the mid-90s. Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep. It's a hilarious movie. It's about a guy who dies and he goes to purgatory. It's a comedy. He goes to purgatory and he has to defend himself. He has to defend his life. He winds up on trial to determine whether or not he goes off to heaven or whether he has to go back to earth. And he has a defense attorney and a prosecutor. And they show these scenes of his life. And the prosecutor, in order to show the scenes of his life, to show that this guy needs to go back to earth, the scenes that he showed were all the times in Daniel's life where he was showing fear. And it wasn't until he was able to prove to the judges that he had no fear that he was able to go on to the next level. And I thought that movie, for being a comedy and shrouded in all of that, was so deep and amazing that I've watched it a ton. And if you just get the comedic side of it, it'll be well worth it. But if you think about
What's the
the
name of the movie
underlying
again?
message, Defending Your Life, and it came out in the mid-90s. Albert Brooks, Meryl Streep. It is hysterical. It's just they took Purgatory and kind of made it into a little bit like a Disneyland or kind of like a cruise ship where you're there for 7 days and all you're doing is eating the whole time. And there's trolleys that take you from one part of the park to the other, and it's like you're there. And it made me think about that what held him back, what they were trying to show, proved he wasn't ready to go on, was his level of fear and how he dealt with his life and how he lived his life. He lived his life fearfully. But it wasn't until I won't spoil the movie, but he finds a way to get rid of the fear, and in doing so saves his soul.
Well, that resonates with me. I think this whole existence, this plane, is one big grand test, and it's testing how we perform and how we behave, how we conduct ourselves, how we live our lives, our integrity, our morals, how fearless we are, and whether we're deserving of the next stage, whatever that might be. I'm even open to the idea of reincarnation, which as a former Muslim was something that was very, frowned upon. Muslims don't believe in reincarnation. It's like, no. I'm actually quite open to, like, you go around the other side and some dude goes, man, you bummed that level. Sorry, dude, you're going back. It's like, oh, shit. Like, oh, my God, here we go again.
You got to go.
Failed.
You got to go back. There's
like, another. You get the golden ticket. I'm off to the next level. And like, no, you're not. You're going back. Sorry, buddy. You bummed that one out.
There's a documentary called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. Have you seen that? Joe Rogan narrates it. It came out a long time ago. There's a scene and there's a clip in there. They used a lot of volunteers who researched that put themselves into this DMT state, and working with Dr. Rick Strassman, and they were talking about their what they saw and how they felt and things like that. And there's a scene in there where there's a lady named Susan Blumenthal who talks about this place, talks about going to this place, this massive room that was so big, it was like the size of the universe, but it was a big room, and this big orb of light with all of these beings that were circling it. And she said that she remembered that. She said, I remembered this place. I had been there so many times. It was the place where souls go to get reincarnated. And I'd been there, and I'd been there before, and I recognized it. And it was wild to hear her tell that story. Of course, in there doing the visuals as well, kind of showing maybe what was going on in her head. It made me think about that, like in her mind, of course, her experience, she'd been through this process before many times. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, so to speak. I'm not in any of those groups. Maybe I'm a little bit more open in the sense that because I'm not part of those groups, I have no attachment, but psychedelics have opened me up to the possibility that everything that I knew was wrong. And that's a pretty humbling place to come to. You think you're so smart, then the universe knocks you down a couple pegs and goes, no, there's more to this that you don't see, that you're not ready for. So I don't know, man. There's parts of me that see this world and all the chaos and want to fix it and want it to not be that way. But I wonder if this is part of the funhouse that they've installed us into, and that we have to see these things, we have to go through these, and we have to experience this, and it's part of it. I just don't know.
No, I get that. It's deeply profound. I get that. Because if it was all wonderful and perfect, there's no real test, is there? Like, if everything's hunky dory, well, like, you know, when you get like when the cars are being developed and they have to do road testing, they put them through all this, like, you know, difficult positions and inclines and, you know, vibrate their tires and suspension and, you know, the heat tolerances. The whole point is to put the car through extreme things to test it. If everything was just very simple and plain sailing, you're not really testing the car or the airplane. And maybe our souls need to be tested and put through that turbulence. Maybe that's what it's all about. That's it. Our souls have
See how
to
we'll
undergo
react.
the turbulence. Yeah. All right, dude. Listen,
Put
that's
on
a
your
great place to
seatbelt.
end. Thank you so much. Love you loads, man. Just stay on the line while I just
Love you
check
too.
out. I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and/or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.